I am here with Titan, the fly river turtle. We are having a problem. Not with Titan, but with his bigger brother, Fred. We have to see what the issue is, bring him up to the surface, and we will show Kennen exactly what's happening.
Yeah, that's it. I have seen stuff like that before. Of course, I hesitate to diagnose it conclusively.
Hey, what's up everybody? Ed the Pond Professor here. We are having a problem. Not with Titan, but with his bigger brother, Fred. So we are in Brian's office, which is the wintertime home for Titan, because he comes out of the pond at my house. The water's a little too cold. Reason we're in here with Titan is I wanted to show you what a healthy shell should actually look like. You could see no blemishes. Titan is very happy. Look at all of his fins. We're gonna look at the belly, check him out. We don't have any problems, but what I heard, according to Mary, who is in constant contact with Fred as well as all the koi fish in that main pond, she said she started noticing some blemishes on the shell, which is always going to be indicative of something. So why don't we go find Mary and check out the issue. All right, so we're looking at the fly river turtle that Kennen gave us.
And that fly river turtle is going in to live with these koi. So here we go. Oh, he's so big.
He is beautiful.
Oh, and look, he really wants to get in there. So my favorite turtle.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, he's in. That's it, everybody. The fly river's in there with all those fish.
Now remember, this is Fred, after Kennen's good buddy Fred that has unfortunately passed away. So this was part of his collection. Kennen gifted this animal to us, so we want to make sure that he's taken care of properly. But we have noticed some issues on the shell. Mary actually spotted it, and there's some like white lesions or something like that.
Little spots, yeah.
We're gonna FaceTime Kennen. We're gonna catch Fred right now, bring him up to the surface, and we will show Kennen exactly what's happening so we can get a little advice from him, because he's the man. He's the master of all this stuff. So let's get him on the phone and we'll pull Fred up. So Mary noticed this. She's in here on a daily basis taking care of these animals, and she noticed we have like these little lesions kind of popping up. So we're wondering if that's some sort of a fungal thing, or you know, what's actually happening here. Have you seen this, and what do we need to do to stop it?
Yeah, that's it. I have seen stuff like that before. Of course, I hesitate to diagnose it conclusively.
Yep.
But it seems like it's an ulcerative infection on their shell, because their shell is covered with a membrane, a skin.
Yep.
If the water parameters aren't correct, they will develop stuff like that. So obviously this time of year you've got them in that indoor pond.
Correct.
While it's a great habitat as far as size, it's going to be difficult for you to control the water parameters in there. They like more alkaline.
Our water is highly alkaline, actually. We refill this pond with RO water, so maybe we need to cut back. Like, we have really, really hard water here, like Florida. So we have very hard water here.
Okay, that's going to be one problem. And then, you know, just a few weeks ago, you helped me out because I had some skin infections on some of my large in the pond behind me. So we added, you know, just non-iodized, regular old salt to the pond, and that seems to be doing the trick. For this, there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, you're going to want to move him into what we would call like a hospital tank or enclosure, something you can control the parameters of the water easily.
Okay.
So he'll just be living in a kind of reduced size environment, and I know you guys have those tubs that you raise the koi in, which would be perfect because they're large enough that he's not going to feel cramped, but small enough you'll be able to add salt and it'll be effective. Try that. You've been doing a betadine soak?
Correct.
Yeah, that's good too, but the thing that I've used and that all aquatic turtle keepers use is a product called Aquaflavin. I'm sure you've heard of Aquaflavin.
I haven't.
You haven't? Oh,
No.
I can't believe I stumped the pond professor.
You got a gift, my friend.
It was sold under Aquaflavin,
Okay.
but it's been used used for years. I believe in like World War I, it was used to treat certain bacterial infections and so on. It's pretty good stuff. It really helps out with bacterial and fungal infections on turtles and fish.
Okay.
What I did was I set up a Rubbermaid tub, counted out every 30 seconds I get about a gallon of water, so I just kind of did the math via time, filled up the tub, got my estimate of how many gallons, and then appropriately dosed the tub with the Aquaflavin. Wound up, just doing it that way. I kept them in there for maybe a week. You could do water changes in there as needed because they'll defecate in the water. Just add some more of the medication to it. But it's pretty benign stuff. They can eat it. So when they eat pellets, they'll be able to ingest this. It doesn't hurt them at all. And then I would just kind of watch for any developments on that fungus. It should start to heal. Once you get it, healed up, the next key is going to, of course, be treating that large enclosure. And I would be doing that simultaneously. Getting the water parameters. Alkaline is a higher pH.
Correct.
So you'll want to just take those measurements.
Yeah, we can do that. That'll be easy. Like I said, our natural water here is very hard, so I don't see any issue with that. But I'm wondering if maybe the water is too soft, so I didn't even think about that. So I'm really glad you mentioned it. We do have a large wetland filter on this feature, so it is loaded with koi. You can see all the fish in here. The water parameters, other than the hardness, like nitrate, phosphate, and all that stuff, is really, really good. So we don't have any issues with that.
It's definitely something that's happening with husbandry,
Yep.
and it's something that then can be remedied.
Okay.
The key is to never, like you're doing, you noticed it, you got to go ahead and treat it now.
Yep.
And it seems like it's going to be a water issue. Almost all the time, that's what it is. What can also happen is once those sores develop, sometimes the fish will kind of pick at them. So, just be conscious of that.
Yeah.
It makes sense, though, if this is an animal that's got a leathery shell, like skin over it, similar to a soft shell turtle, when water gets acidic, it can, cause these ulcerative problems on the shell. But the Aquaflavin I like because you don't need to dry him out. He's going to be in water. There's a veterinarian wrote the book on reptile surgery and medical treatment, Dr. Douglas Mader. And in reading his book, he poses the question, he's like, well, look, if you're a sea turtle, you live in the sea. So why would I take you out of your element to heal you? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
he's like,
totally.
they should be able to heal in their habitat because they've evolved to that. So yes, it's okay to dry dock them for a little bit, but we're going to want the majority of the healing to occur in a liquid environment because that's where that animal lives, and keeping them out may cause stress in other ways.
Totally makes sense. And you know what? You mentioned something interesting. This big tank is split into two sections. He was over here with all these big fish, and that's when we noticed him being stressed. But Mary pulled him out, and she put him on this side, and now he's actually doing better by himself because maybe the fish were harassing him a little bit. So now he's eating. It's a little bit more visible. So you brought it up, and all of a sudden it clicked. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So yeah, he may have been stressed with all the other animals. Now he's over here with much smaller fish and less stocking density. They're still connected, but there's a wall in between.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 3 in my pond here. What happens is, obviously, like, these are animals that prefer to live a little bit more solitarily, but I've got, visual barriers, and we've designed this pond, or you designed this pond, to where it's got a cave, it's got a lot of visual barriers, we've got the log, and, things have grown up.
Yep.
So these turtles, I noticed, they kind of hang out alone. At night, they become more active. In my opinion, the fly river turtles are nocturnal. That's when I feed them. They come together, they feed, and then they go about their own business. So perhaps we did kind of get that right. Maybe these large fish are kind of stressing them out, so keep an eye on them on that other side. And then, you know what? Maybe down the road, we do a whole new enclosure for them,
Right.
I think they're a spectacular animal. They're such a cool display animal and unique.
Awesome. All right, bud. I appreciate all your help. I know you're a busy man. You got...
I'm just thinking back, buddy. I'm just thinking back before I go.
Yes.
You have another project that we can do together someday. I'm always thinking, I want to make the ultimate baby turtle nursery in my backyard, and I wonder if you guys would help me out down the road.
Heck yeah. Always, man. You know it.
Anyway, man, let me know how he does, and if I can help with anything else, I'm at your disposal.
Awesome.
Hopefully see you guys soon.
All right, buddy. Look forward to it. All right, so Mary, I guess to summarize what Kennen talked about, we need to check alkalinity, number 1. Water quality is going to be number 1. I think we have good water quality, but hardness is different. So we'll have to check that. Might have to modify things a little bit, keep them in the water versus pulling out, set up a hospital tank for them, and then just lots of monitoring and Aquaflavin. All right, stay tuned. We got ourselves busy, probably day or two, just to get all these pieces in place so we could actually start taking care of Fred. Okay, Mary, what do you have over here that will work?
Yeah, we definitely have one more open quarantine tank that we can use for Fred now. It's all set up here, so we'll definitely go ahead and start buying the supplies that Kennen had suggested, and we'll go ahead and get that treatment going for him.
Awesome, awesome. Now, is there anything else in this? Is there salt or anything like that?
Right now, we do have some salt in here. I believe right now it's at a 0.6%.
Okay.
So it is a little bit higher than what we would normally keep it at.
Yep. So we'll leave the salt. We'll add the other treatments inside of here. So next step, we'll get Fred in this tank, monitor him, get that new solution that Kennen told us about. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put Fred in, do that treatment, and we'll have to leave him in there for about a week at a time. And then we'll do some partial water treatments, and we'll do a secondary treatment. And it might take a month or more to make sure that everything is taken care of. And remember, the #1 goal is to have a healthy turtle. Healthy Fred is a happy Fred. Oh gosh, he's a heavy one. Check him out. It's the greatest. And he sees the water. He wants to go in. So Fred's in the new quarantine tank. Next step is to use the aquaflavin. We are gonna do a 30 ml treatment, which is basically an ounce for 150 gallons of water. Now this tank, when it is full, is approximately 160. So if we go a little bit heavier, it should be okay, but I think that should be a good start for us. For any of the science people out there, you're always looking, it's called the meniscus compounds, water compounds and things like that. They have surface tension on them. So what it's gonna do in a container like this is you're gonna see it higher on the edges, then it's gonna dip down. So you wanna make sure when you're doing a measurement, you're not going off the high spot where it's actually stuck to the glass itself. You're gonna go off of the lower point or somewhere kind of in between. So with any type of a sick animal or quarantine process, #1 thing we want to look for is we want to monitor constantly. So every single day, obviously during feeding, but we're going to be looking at all the behaviors just to make sure that nothing else is going to be happening. And if you notice any type of a different behavior than his normal behavior, any type of erratic swimming or movements or things like that, then we're going to have to adjust our plan. So #1 thing is going to be monitoring. Other than that, we'll be back here in a week. We're going to do a water change. We'll do a secondary treatment. And we're going to continue following along with that process, and Fred is back to normal. All right, everybody, appreciate it, and we will see you next week.